Ooh, there I am. I can't hear myself. That's why. Yes? Nope. Wrong one. Yes? Yes? I can hear my computer. Why can't I hear me? Give me like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Good. Now I can hear myself too. Is a nice way to start the stream. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Welcome to another stream of Lyrebird Edits. It's going to be a fairly short stream today. I've only got an hour and a half to play with before I need to go off. So that means we're going to get straight into it. We are editing Ernst Herringbone's, or Mr. Herringbone's story today. Good, I've updated the title, everything is fine, nice, good. So this is a story called Solera, and I think just behind the scenes on Discord we were having a chat about this story, but I don't have a full recollection of what it's about, which is good for me as an editor. I like going in blind, and that sort of resets all my expectations. I remember we were talking about the content of this story quite a few weeks ago. My recollection was that it had like a sort of multi-narrative vibe to it, set over the course of different points in time, like a David Mitchell story. That's what I remember about this. And so I'm trying to sort of moderate my expectations because I love David Mitchell's stories. And so whenever anyone says, "Oh, it's like this," I'm like, "Yes, it's gonna be good." So yes, we'll put my editing hat on, and I'll be as objective as possible. Morning, everyone. Hello, Sikoj. Hello. If you're good, I'll show you more of my carpet today. That was a real treat last time. Not everyone gets to see my carpet and how cleanly steamed my carpet is, so you're very lucky. Hmm. Holy balls, a Lyrebird stream. Yes, hello. Hi, Sayaka. You're in for a treat. If you don't fancy the stream, you can just stay for the carpet a bit later on. Morning, Outriderist T. No, we're on best behavior today. I've only got like an hour and 20 minutes left. Let's dive right in. No, enough of that warming up the chat nonsense. We're gonna just dive in straight away today. Um, oh hey Naz, good to see you again. We're on to Herringbone's story now. Also, thank you for the last couple of streams, but like what am I trying to say? Thank you for sending your story to me, and I hope you had a lot of benefit from me going through it. Thank you for sending it through. What was your story ripoff of, Sayaka? Interested to know. Sorry, not your story. Detroit Become Human. Oh, thank you, Nez. Let's go to 150. You guys can see that. That's good. My stream isn't dropping frames. I'm here in my box. Nothing untoward. And I can hear myself, which is good. I remember that Shrek game. This isn't in the Discord. Go to the Discord if you haven't joined, by the way. Oh. Anyway, we're gonna read Solera. So, strap yourselves in, and away we go. I think this is one of like the first chunks. 13 pages. How many words are we dealing with? Good. 5.7. So the lonely tread of wine press, or the lonely tread the wine press. Excuse me, I need a bit more coffee before I wake up fully. Isabel, 1903. Campina de Jerez. Why did I do that? Small streams of grape juice snake down my wrist and soak into my sleeves. From within my fist, I can. Excuse me. Do you mind if I? Oop, don't want to spoil myself there. I'm gonna space it out a little bit so I can read it a bit better. Ah, mwah. Ah, so nice, very good. Um, that might help with readability. Small streams of grape juice snake down my wrist and soak into my sleeves. From within my fist, I can feel the pulpy mess bleed. I press them harder. Alicio is who made me do this. Alicio Marin Medina, my betrothed, my plague, swept in to feed on my roots. Alicio, whose cheeks droop like wrinkled grapes. Alicio, whose neck I wanted to twist and pop like a cork. I drop Alicio's desiccated skins into the mud. Isabel, be thankful, father had said. Alicio is a respected man. Without him, the root plague would have us poor, and you marrying a mere farmhand. Alicio, whose fancy boots had brought fancy American vines to graft to our grapes. Alicio, who they wanted to graft to me. That's clever, I like that. It's quiet out here among the grapevines. There are no pickers today. Sunday stillness. I find a grassy patch in the belly of the vineyard, and disappear below the shrubbery. I run my sticky palms along the dewy grass. For what good do we worship from within gloomy halls? Out here among life and greenery, God's careful craft is everywhere. Vines twist and curl with leaves cupped, seeking arms of sunshine. Well-trodden paths form minute lakes of fallen rain. Skylarks soar and dive, chasing insects. Moss patiently lays carpet over earth and stone. Underneath, worms form uncharted and ever-changing caverns. Surrounding trees change into timeless seasonal fashions. April green, August red, September gold. Naked and honest trees of December. Stubborn evergreens watch on unchanging. Blades of grass sniffle dewdrops. Plump toadstools wait to be kicked. Buzzing bees, pushing trees. Brittle stumps, brittle stump house, brittle stumps house fans of fungus. Paw prints in the mud tell of nighttime escapes, whilst hollowed logs stow daylight fugitives, hares, foxes, termites. A pittance of God's artistry thrown from earth with artisan mastery, yet all invisible during worship, evoked through stained glass windows but never real. 6 days of creation wasted on crumbling churches. God had left Sunday for rest, but in his absence gossip had got to work. Today, Papa and Father Asa would discuss my engagement, whilst hungry ears listened. Soon after, it would spread like the root plague from vine row to vine row, pew to pew. Rosalia would giggle, Sophia would blush. Fabiola would think to send a bushel of flowers home with Mother. Then, when the secret reached the back of the church, Pablo would hear. Pablo would hear and never look at me again. Pablo would hear and his eyes would wander. Just give me a sec to go back through the comments. Yep, we've got some good observations here so far. I'll read a little more and then we can go and chat about this. Is there a suitable break somewhere? No, I'll have to make my own. The sun is only just creeping up from behind the hills. Church would be just starting, leaving plenty of time before I need to be back in bed. And how well I convinced Father I were ill. I was nervous enough, I actually felt it, but he only truly believed me when he pressed his hand to my warm forehead. 2 minutes of rubbing had left my face warm and rosy. You are already red, you may get worse still, he had said. Before they had left, Father brought an extra pillow and water with lemon juice. I could be an actress in Madrid like La Bella. Except I cannot. Alicio, the fat swine, with his greying goat beard. Alicio, whose fruits pop in my palm. Alicio, the plague. Alicio... Aye. The grapevines are suffocating. I dust my dress and make for the bodega. I was just talking about Sherry before, I started streaming. Anyway, let's stop there. Um, Yep, let's take this 500 words as like a first chunk. Um, yep, good. Nice. It's really impressive. There's this great sense of um like the repetitive element that's woven throughout the story so far is Alicia, and her frustration at having to be married off to him. The the grapevine metaphor is really nice. That's a very clever way of pardon the pun, but marrying um these two ideas together of Alicia and what's our main character's name? Don't think we have one yet. Sorry, Isabel. It's Isabel and Alicia are being sort of wedded in as much as like these grapevines are. That's very clever. The second half of this is the church nature metaphor, which always works well. It's a very nice way to craft a scene, um, and it's interesting. We get through this a sense of her frustrations and um her state of mind. What to suggest? Um, so maybe the first thing we can pick apart is what you guys were talking about here with the. It starts with God's careful craft. Can I just highlight something that I want to show off? Um, this appearance of God's artistry thrown from earth with artisan mastery. That's an extraordinary. That's an extraordinary line. There's so much going on there that I like. Like is it wordy? Yeah, like 100% it's wordy, but that's what the story is going for. And wow, like when I read that, I just sort of thought to myself, I couldn't think of anything like that. Yeah, that's really impressive. And I think because it's couched within a big paragraph like this, full of other descriptions, it doesn't feel out of place. That being said, though, you guys were right. It can do with a bit of pruning. Um, and I think it's missing one thing that maybe would help to, if it was there, we could justify having so much of these declarative descriptions. Let's read through this paragraph. It's quiet out here among the grapevines. There are no pickers today. Sunday stillness. This could be a colon. Oops, I have to suggest. Excuse me. Um, I like semicolon Sunday stillness, but it's strictly a fragment. Or it could be a full stop that would have the same fragment problems. But either one of these would probably work. Let's not belabor the point. I find a grassy patch in the belly of the vineyard and disappear below the shrubbery. I run my sticky palms along the dewy grass. So she's sort of washing away her evidence. For what good do we worship from within gloomy halls? There's a transition here that's a little bit too quick. These two sentences here are motion driven, so she's decided to, after having taken her wrath out on these grapes, um, she then goes into a quieter place within the vineyard, disappears. There needs to be something here in this little space that helps the reader transition from her mindset of motion and violence into, I'm now going to talk about this place as a still, calm entity. Um, I could suggest two things here that I would like to see. The first is to have her ground the reader with a very particular object, like a vine that she has noticed that's particularly wizened or sort of shaped like a hand or something, um, or to get her to describe one sentence's worth of block scenery. Why I want that here in this section is because for what good do we worship from within gloomy halls? I know exactly what you mean once I push forward, but I want to have it catch before. For example, I find a grassy patch in the belly of the vineyard and disappear below the shrubbery. I run my sticky palms along the dewy grass. Straightening up, I come to perhaps the most peculiar of vines in this whole grapeyard, grapeyard vineyard. Um, every day I've seen it, and every day I wonder just how mercurial and strange nature can be. For before me, I see um, a vine shaped like a man's hand, twisted in violent torpor, something like that. Um, Strange how nature can make something so ugly and so beautiful. And then you can kind of take the narrative camera up and get it to look around the vineyard um, and get out of all the vines that I see around me, this one here is perhaps the most interesting and the most ugly. Um, God, full stop. God truly works in nature. For what good do we worship from within gloomy halls? Out here among life and greenery, God's careful craft is everywhere. So it's here, and I kind of want it to be a bit before we launch into all of these. These are lovely descriptions from this point on unto about here. We've got end to end, bam, 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 bam. Really, really nice descriptions. You could easily get rid of three of them and it would be just as impactful. Um, which ones to cut? Moss patiently lays. So if you ground the scene before pushing into this idea of God is in nature, vines twist and curl with leaves cupped, seeking arms of sunshine. If you wanted to, you could be clever and you could weave the church and the nature together. So vines form like the buttress structures of the arches in a church, for instance. If you describe the vineyard like her church, that would be a really clever thing to do. In so doing, you could then twist some of these metaphors to suit the original idea of the God and nature one. Right now, what we're doing is we're kind of having it both ways. This is the God and nature, and then this is um, nature. Well-trodden paths form minute lakes of fallen rain. Skylarks soar and dive, chasing insects. Moss patiently lays carpet over earth and stone. Let me go through and highlight some of these that I think in nature green. Um, you may be able to use in service of the idea of God and nature. What good do we worship from within gloomy halls? This one here. Because what I recommend doing is planting a single strong metaphor and then getting these descriptions to serve it like little minions. Um, this is good too with the unending caverns. Buzzing bees shushing trees is really nice. Brittle stumps house fans of fungus, paw prints in the mud till nighttime is skipping. I think these are the ones that, regardless of if you want to marry this God nature metaphor all the way through the paragraph, these are probably the stronger ones, including the vines twisting. Let me pause for a moment and go back through and read. I love that like Ernst sorry Nazgul like yeah dude, get out of here with your amazing writing. This is tall poppy syndrome we've got going on here. Hey Pumpkin Pie Addict, hey, welcome to the stream. Sorry I've been ignoring chat for a few minutes. This guy that plays my ego. I think we can all take a moment to appreciate Ernst's writing. This is really nice stuff. It's um it's very poetic, which is good. It's really good to see someone just be unashamedly poetic in their writing. Um, it doesn't mean we can't edit it. It just means that I have to spend less time going through the sentences. So I guess this what I've been suggesting here is less about the structure. Well, no, sorry, it is about the structure of the paragraph. Because I think everyone's gut reaction here when we first read through it was correct. Um, right now, there are a lot of these really nice, individual, beautiful sentences. And even if I didn't highlight them here, I still love them. The strongest thing about this paragraph is the fact that it's all coming together with this church metaphor. Everything in green serves this idea, um, whereas everything that's not is a bit extraneous, in my opinion. But more so than that, I really want to see that idea of God and nature declared here and then backed up with all of this green. That seems to me is the best way to serve this paragraph. Its structure right now, I think, gets it like 75% of the way there. Um, the other thing as well is that we are missing a tiny bit here from um, before the God in nature metaphor, Metaphor, strain begins. I'd like to see Isabel. I'd like to see Isabel ground herself in the scenery and then project out. I really like when, oh, God in nature, not God versus nature, or God as nature, maybe. You can achieve this by focusing the reader's attention on a piece of scenery or an object, like a vine, like a hand or shaped vine. And then from that you can launch into the God as nature thing, tying them together. Yeah. when in doubt, Lee Everett, pop onto YouTube and type in poop burger. True words, Psycho. True words. Mm. Wrangle. I see what you did there with your vines. I think that was unintentional, but yeah. Um, it's often very difficult to think of what to do with these kinds of paragraphs because when you look at it, like functionally, there's nothing here that I want to, except for like a couple of semicolons. But I like for this, for instance, I don't think we need. So we can get rid of it. But I think when we look at a paragraph like this, it's difficult to switch out of line editing mode and into like a more structure editing. And if you're the writer of the piece, that's even harder because you have so much, you're so close to it. Um, also, wise word, Psycho. Yes, have you considered replacing this for a swamp herringbone? That may be interesting. Um, why did I do that? It's an interesting way to start a story. Do I like it? I don't know. Why did I do that? Small streams of grape juice snake down my wrist and soak into my sleeves. Um, I'm gonna suggest getting rid of small and just put streams of grape juice. It runs a bit more immediately. Um, from within my fist, I can feel the pulpy mess bleed. I press them harder. I'm gonna suggest something. You can take it or leave it. Maybe see if you like that. That's my suggestion. That's a real like I wouldn't be offended at all if you don't like that. Just thinking it might fit. Um, from within my fist, I can feel the pulpy mess bleed. Oh, because you've already got blood and bleed, you don't need it. Good. But yeah, if you wanted to swap them around, I press them harder. Now, I'm a stupid reader sometimes. Um, I'd love a sentence just making sure that I know what you're squeezing. That sounds really weird. Streams of grape juice snake down my wrist and soak into my sleeves. From within my fist, I can feel the pulpy mess bleed. I press them harder, another grape bursts, bleeds. You don't need bleed and bleeds. You can just put another grape bursts. Why do I suggest that? I I think it's just to solidify what she's doing and to make me feel less stupid, like I have to piece it together. This one's 50-50. If you feel like you just want to press forward, you can get rid of it. What I do recommend, though, a bit of a stronger suggestion is Alessio is who made me do this. She's squeezing grapes from anger. It's like that's if I was just to read this, I'd be like, okay, so she's angry and she's squeezing grapes. Um, what particularly about these grapes makes it so that she is exacting her anger on them? Are these the grapes from the like a prized graph that Alessio's family have given to her? Are they precious grapes? Um are they rotten on the vine? Like the reason why I'm making a point of this is because this kind of sentence makes me feel like I need to know something about why she's doing it to these grapes specifically, or if she's just venting her anger in general. Um, just a little sentence here. I've noticed that your writing style back ends an idea. So you've got here's the idea and then here's the justification for it. I think that's totally fine. That's a really valid way to write. Think of it like um whether you want to ramp up your reader into the idea and then justify it, or if you want to just crash the idea in like a hard wall and then ramp down on the other side. I hope that metaphor makes sense. Because right now, with this, it's kind of like here's the action, and then bam, here's the idea, and I'm left wondering why. But then, very fortunately, you answer it in the next one, in the next couple of sentences. Maybe consider putting something here, in this space here. Maybe consider. Oh, I need to go back and read this. Sorry, guys. Maybe consider a very short primer for the idea you are about to introduce. Say why these grapes in particular, slash why the anger. Like, I understand that this comes at the second half of the paragraph, but I feel like I need something a little bit before. It doesn't have to be a full explanation, it just needs to be a primer, like, to get me into the mood to be receptive, to then understand why she's doing what she's doing. In the same way that down here, this transition is very quick from motion into idea, I would also say that the same thing is happening here. It transitions so quickly from motion into bam, idea, that we don't really have a sense of fluidity between the two. Super simple fix, just add like a little bit between them. Yay, you get to write more. Okay, let's go back and read the comments. Apologies for being a bit slow. Um, So Ernst says, I'm not a fan of my opening line. I want to find something that asks a similar question as it's the theme of the whole story, but I haven't found the best way to say it yet. That's difficult, yeah. Yeah. Why do I do what I do? That's got a free will annotation to it. Um, uh, within my fist. Ah, Pumpkin Pie Addict says that they don't like for the from. Feels a bit back and forth. Hmm. I'll consider that. That's a really good point. Pumpkin Pie Addict says about switching back between a more passive and an active. Good suggestion from Pumpkin Pie Addict about this could actually be the end of the paragraph. I'm gonna copy paste it actually. Um, I agree. Like, it's really good to end your paragraphs often quite simply. That's nice because we spend the so Pumpkin Pie Addict says because we spend the rest of the next paragraph getting to know Alicia, which works too. But for emotional impact to transition us to the next paragraph, we hit it off strong. Yep, I think that's very clever. Hmm. Good suggestion, Pumpkin Pie Addict. Good suggestion. Hmm. The real psycho says Alicia is who made me do this. Cut the who. About SU says I would just cut is and insert a comma. Alicia who made me do this. To keep the Alicio. All good suggestions. I don't have a particularly strong feeling about what to do actually. Um, hmm. I'll leave this up to Herringbone. Lots of good suggestions. I don't have a particularly strong feeling about which one would work. You pick one, and I think any way you write it, you can justify it. Hmm. So a comment about the first line. But as you said, it's going to tie in with the rest of the story. I guess you'll have to have a think about what comes first and what kind of theme you want to introduce to it. Why did I do that? I think it's pretty obvious why she's doing that. So maybe have I suggest changing it, and any change will be an improvement. I think. Hmm. It's not that it's a bad opener. I just think it answers itself too quickly, whereas the style you're going for wants to be like a big branching question that's answered throughout the course of the story, or answered multiple times. Sure. I think maybe for the context it's a bit too quick though. Hmm. Alicio made me do this. Alicio Mary Medina, my betrothed, my plague, swept into feed on my roots. Oh, actually, this one. From within my fist, I can feel the pulpy mess bleed. I press harder. Wait, I press them harder. I totally get what you mean about it being passive and then active, but I actually quite like that. I wouldn't usually recommend it. If you get rid of the from and just have within my fist, I can feel the pulpy mess bleed. I press them harder. The reason why I like from is because it continues the motion in a way that I can't quite logically explain. Hmm. Look, if in a subsequent draft from was gone and it was within and the sentence had changed around, fine. I'm not going to lose any sleep. I think it's okay, but it's unusual, and I think I certainly wouldn't recommend consistently writing like this, where you go passive active passive active passive active. Uh, this way, passive active passive. Wait, no, yeah, I did it right the first time. Left to right, right to left. Yeah. Anyway, it's it is good writing. It's in this little snippet here is from what I've read, it's lovely. It's really good writing, which means that I get to edit in a um I get to sort of edit it differently, I guess, which is good. Yay. Let's move on. Um, I wish I wasn't going out today. I want to do more of this story. We're halfway through the time that I have for today. Um, damn. Oh. Anyway, so God had left Sunday for rest, but in his absence, Gossip had got to work. What happens if we get rid of the hads? God left Sunday for rest, but in his absence, Gossip got to work. Um, Maybe keep one of them. Way more important than your social life. True, two words. Very true words. Yep, I think so. We are his social life. Which reminds me, I need to spend more time on Discord. You guys have really, really good conversations there. Um, and I come through after a day of it and I go, oh, I wish I was here for that. Um, please continue talking without me. I'm not saying to stop until I come. That's on me. I need to be there more. God left Sunday for rest, but in his absence, Gossip got to work. Get on a hell level. um, I think this works maybe a little better. Today, Papa and Father Razor would discuss my engagement whilst hungry ears listened. Um, um, if you can, add a where. Add a where is a sentence I never thought I'd type out. Um, yeah, we'll discuss my engagement whilst hungry ears listened. It's a good, um, it's a good image that's raised here. Um, it lacks grounding in a physical place. Soon after, it would spread like the root plague from vine row to vine row, pew to pew. If possible, could you introduce this a little earlier? I know that's a big stretch. Maybe in this gap here. Here. What we're talking about here. This seems like it's an opportune metaphor to talk about the rot that's going to be introduced to Isabel's life. I'm sorry if I'm preempting, like this may come further down, but if you haven't taken the opportunity to marry the root plague to Isabel and to Alicio, please do, because that's begging to be done. Um, so here we've got the grounding. Um, my preference would be to have it forward further up. But that being said, I'm getting more and more used to your writing style where I have to be patient with it and think, okay, here's a question I have. Yep, there's the answer. So I'm getting more in tune with how you're writing. Pablo would hear and never look back at me. Pablo would hear and his eyes would wander. I like that. That's good because it mirrors the Alicio stuff that's going on here, but it's written slightly differently. And I get the implication, which is good. The sun is only just creeping up from behind the hills. Church would be just starting. You've got two justs here. Um, I'd like a softer transition. between the last paragraph and a motion sequence. Oh, is... Only... That is a comment here. I'd like a softer transition between the last paragraph and this motion sequence. So for example, I sighed and looked up to the XYZ. Or something that brings you out of the world of thought and into the world of motion. Oh yeah, good suggestion. Pastel highlights. Yes. I highlighted everything. I, what? Ugh. 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 I'm sorry. Ooh, what's going on here? Yeah, from this point forward, I will choose a better color. Thank you. I'd have to delete them all, and oh, no one's got time for that. Anyway, yeah, good suggestion. I'll from this point forward, I will choose a pastel color. Why don't you guys fight with each other nastily over which color I should use? Use as much vitriol as possible, please. Like tear each other down, form factions, and um, yeah, just fight it amongst yourselves. What color should I use? While I could go through and read the comments. Yeah, Real Psycho says it gives you a description. So like the descriptions give you a sense of where it's set. I agree. Like it's really sharp placements. Also the fact that it says Campina de Jerez, and there's also a reference to Sherry. So those things, and I as well, and church. Yeah, they all come together really nicely. Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that too, Outrider SG. It's a matter of justifying how you write. Like, if it's grammatically incorrect, but it works, totally fine. Exactly, yeah, as long as you make it clear that it's not just incompetence. Right, exactly, Naz, but, you know, dialed up to 11, like, no, no kindness at all. Hmm. Yeah, this pumpkin pie addict has stumbled upon a really important thing about structure. In fact, this point here is super important. While this isn't my style of writing or my style of reading, I enjoy the varying sentence lengths. Um, it works within any type of story you write, maybe with the exception of a story through a child's perspective, because that's quite even in some cases, or very clipped. However, there's absolutely nothing that you lose from varying your sentence length because it just flows. Like it is the easiest thing you can do as a writer to make your story feel like it's breathing at you. Um, like the polar bear from Lost. Just in the I don't know what I was going for there. It's an easy way for to make your story come alive and feel like it's actually engaging you. Yeah. Um, I were ill is a turn of phrase. As if I were ill. It's quite like strictly speaking, it's grammatically wrong, but from the way that these people speak in the turn of the century, it's actually right. Isn't that weird? Oh, try try a few. Plop them in and see. And if you don't like it, you can just get rid of them. Slytherin ruins the stream. The sun is only just creeping up from behind the hills. Church would be just starting. Let's get rid of that just. Starting now? Leaving plenty of time before I... Leaving plenty of time before I needed to be back in bed. And how well I convinced father I were ill. Yep. So this is what Psych is saying. It's an expression that was popular at the turn of the century. I was nervous enough to actually feel it, but he only truly believed me. Ooh. When he pressed his hand to my warm forehead. I'm gonna put a full stop there. Nope, because that implies that the father is doing it. 2 minutes of rubbing and left my face warm and rosy. Can I suggest brackets? Is that a thing? Maybe. Look, it's brackets are a very contentious stylistic thing. Um, Technically it works, but I don't know if some people might not like this. Consider it as a suggestion, but yeah, otherwise the hyphen might work. No, M dash? No, 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 no. Okay, everyone says no. Okay, okay. I didn't mean to upset people. Yeah, it is contentious. I think the M dash is fine. You are already. That was brutal. So brutal. You are already red, but yeah, but you're totally right. You're already red. You may get worse. He had said. He'd said before they had left. Barbara brought an extra pillow and water with lemon juice. I could be an actress in Madrid like the Belle. That's a really nice way to end it off. Um, Keep in mind, you can slip into the historical present. One of the really nice things about this style of writing where it's present and then it slips into the past so readily, which is nice. You can take advantage of that by getting rid of past tense identifiers sometimes. It's a bit touch and feel. Touch and feel? Touch and go. What I mean by that is, before they left, father brought a pillow, or no, this isn't historical present. This is something a bit different. Father brought an extra pillow and water with lemon juice. Ignore what I was saying just then. This is fine. Except I cannot, which I think is fine as a run-on. Alicia the fat swine with his greying goat beard. Alicia whose fruits pop in my palm. Hey, there we go. That's what I was after. So important detail. If possible, I'd either hint in some ways I like the fact that this wasn't dropped immediately. The idea that she is destroying his grapes and that it comes down here. But maybe hint at why she's doing what she's doing here, but she is damaging not just any grapes, but the grapes of... Except if you hint it here, it becomes obvious immediately. Have a think about this, and I'll think about it too and see if I can come up with any decent suggestions. But by here, we definitely get it, don't we? Hmm. Yeah, it's a very good way to tell a story. I like historical present. It's a bit different to what's done here. That's good to refresh the memories of the reader every now and then. But yeah, yeah, and em dashes and hyphens are very useful for bridging together information in the same sentence. It's nice. Yep. Aye, the grapevines are suffocating. I dust and dust my dress and make for the bodega. I think that's a decent closer. Yep. Excuse me one moment while I define what a bodega is. Oh, it's a cellar. Okay, cool. A cellar. Cellar. Hmm. Good suggestion, actually. If there's a name for it or a piece of description that you can put instead of dress. Dark frock, for instance. I don't know if a frock is appropriate. Hmm. Maybe something that's a little sort of level up from dress. Something a bit more. Hmm. I think from these three comments here, I think I'd agree. Ooh. I picture like one of those milkmaid style dresses. Given the context, but even if you just put in milkmaid's dress or something, I don't know, something that would be good. Now let's start from here and we'll continue on. I'll do some reading. The Sherry Bodega is steeped in time. The air carries a rich Excuse me. The air carries a rich wooden musk that bleeds out from within the dust-caked barrels. The softer, quieter scent of the sherry sits heavily in my chest. Beams of sunlight catch the fine powder swaying in the air. Grimy smears coat the walls and pylons that father has been speaking of washing for years. This is the place where troubles can stew and, like gristle, melt away with time. Like grapes themselves, barrels are stacked upon barrels, forming a six-story mountain. New sherry at the top, old at the bottom. Each barrel destined to empty into its lower, older neighbor. Hmm. Like churchyard rumors, each pass twists and tints its content until it reaches the Solera, the oldest barrel, where it is drawn and sent out to the world by Alicio and his fancy boats, to America or London or Brussels. There is no peaceful recess of my mind. Hmm. I hoist myself up on top of the Sobra tables. Google, help me. Help me, Google. What is this? Oh, this is what we were just describing. Yep, it's a. I'm learning a lot about Sherry today. Before I started the stream, I brought home last night a bottle of umeshu, and I showed it to mum and dad. And before we were streaming this morning, we were talking about Sherry. And here we are. It's a story about Sherry. Life is weird. Life is very strange. Um, I'm guessing. I think that from my quick Google there, this describes the system of vertical maturation. Hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Um, yeah, uh, this creeps me out. This thing. Oh, the man doesn't, but the phenomenon does. Raising a cloud of dust as I reach for top. I'll have to remember to clean my dress before father gets home. Yep, so I think we definitely need a description of a dress, either here or up there. I have time. Blow me a little critter scutters about. I straddle and lay across the barrel like a lazy cat and think of how I could hide within one and be shipped away. Shipped away to London or America or London, Africa, wherever Alicia cannot find me. Of course, Maria would have to come too. 2 barrels. We could go to Germany and sell leche frita. There I could make sure Papa never marries my Maria to any swine. Pablo may join us. He could build furniture for us and even make a store from it. 3 barrels. I hope for such a fate. I like this. You guys didn't fight with yourselves over which color to pick. I'm very disappointed. So we're going for like a muted purple. Oh, except it goes green. Always green. Why green? Can I change this? Can I change my green? Hey, it's me. Lyrebird edits. Look at that. Can I change the green? Does someone smarter than me know that? Yeah. Nah, see, even then, hang on. Oh, no, good suggestion. Very good. Yep, nice. Pink it is. Hmm. I close my eyes and let my prayers seep into the darkness. Jesus, through the Immaculate Heart of Mary, please hear my prayers and suffering on this day. Forgive my the Catholics, obviously. Forgive my absence from Mass. I know the intentions of your Sacred Heart. Oh yeah, very Catholic. Are good and noble, and will stop all that you do not will. I trust your judgment, my Lord. Protect Maria, whose innocence blooms like a daisy. Protect Mama, whose bones still ache. Protect the orchards and the fruits they offer. Protect Papa, as troublesome and confused as he is. He will come to you with your guidance. Protect Father Aza, and let him forgive my absence. Protect Abbess Marisol, and may she be healthy. Protect Pablo and his family from hunger, from sickness, from rumors. After all that, protect me, forever grateful for your holy sacrifice, and ever trusting of your intentions. I pray to your all and glory. Amen. With my fingernail, I scratch patterns and shapes into the dust. I try to chart a map of the world from memory. How long has it been since everybody left? I can't see the sun, but it couldn't have been too long ago. I'm gonna cut there, and we'll talk about this page. I think these little chunks are good because we have quite a few contained scenes, and they're all quite different from each other. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think this is like a suggestion. I scratch shapes just because of the alliteration. The sherry pagoda is steeped in time. The air carries a rich wooden musk that bleeds out from within the dust-caked barrels. Here, um, how to put this? Here is the last scene where we're in an orchard and she goes for the cellar. Now this new cellar here, if you imagine in your reader's mind that the way this scene is set up is that you have the cellar, uh, and then immediately you have a description of the air, the soft, the quiet air is something. Grapes and cells barrels are stacked right at the top. Within this paragraph here, we don't have um, Isabel. I think the plot so far, Pumpkin Pie Addict. I think with stories that are I think targeted towards a more literary audience, you kind of have to be patient with not knowing full details straight up. I think for me, the plot to this is right now the disquiet that Isabella's feeling at being married off. She's obviously got something for Pablo, um, whether it's strong feelings or admiration. I think the literary sense of what's going on is that, in a plot sense, is that she's trying to make sense, or maybe conspire a way to leave. But it's certainly less motion focused, isn't it? She hasn't cut out from the village. She hasn't. But I think that's the way these types of stories tend to start. Hmm. Right. It's just a different genre, and so you have to sort of pay attention to how it all works together. There's no Isabel in this paragraph here. The Cherry Pagoda is steeped in time. Um, I close the door to the pagoda, and make my way into its darkness. Here, I stand amidst the great halls of man's labor, something like that. That kind of sentence is missing from this paragraph here, and while the descriptions are really pleasant and very descriptive and ornate, it's empty because Isabel's not here. Even though she's describing it, even though I know intuitively that she must be here, the way that she's describing it is very external from herself. It's an externality rather than an internality. She's not here in the sense that she's experiencing these types of things in a visceral sense, rather they're just sort of descriptions external to her. Excuse me, just grabbing a box of tissues. I think what that means is that this paragraph could do with a sentence, and I love um, I love it when you get to this stage in a story where it's obviously already very well polished. Like, sure, you can um, we can go through and say like sentence and start the sherry, the air, the softer beams of sunlight. It's a very object focused way to open up a paragraph. What I was going to say there though was that once you get to a stage where your story is very much polished, or if it's written particularly well, the fixes to the problems that you see in your paragraphs become very surgical. Hopefully, I can demonstrate that to you guys now. What I was saying before was that we need Isabel in this scene. So, for example, if we get rid of a show Bodega is steep in time, and we demonstrate this through showing the details. So, um, I'm trying to think of a way to plug this up here. Closing the thick wooden door behind me, I seal away the outside world and I seal away the outside and into this dark world. Um, this sentence here, you can cut it, but if you want to keep this, you need to justify light entering a cellar, maybe from a window. Otherwise, we don't really get a sense of, like, are they in a barn? Are they in an underground cavern? We don't know where the sunlight's coming from. Um, and just like that, with the addition of this sentence and maybe a bit of motion to help us go from here to here. Most of this is now fine. Let's read through it and I'll double check that. Closing the thick wooden door behind me, I seal away the outside and enter this dark world. Here the air carries a rich wooden musk that bleeds out from within the dust-caked barrels. I run my fingers along their oak, feeling the grooves of time. The softer, quieter scent of cherry sits heavily in my chest. You can also get rid of heavily and put heavy, just to sit heavy in my chest, maybe. Grimy smiths coat the walls and pylons that father has been speaking of washing for years. Grimy smiths coat the walls and pylons that father has been speaking of washing for years. This is the place where troubles can stew and like gristle melt away with time. I pick one of these and keep them. This is back information that's kind of thrust in. This is the thing that I would like demonstrated. So, how can you demonstrate that troubles stew? This makes me think that the cellar itself is the scene to, I guess, a lot of not really roughhousing, but sort of rowdiness. What I think this may mean, now that I'm thinking about it, is that the sherry within this place is made, and it brews trouble within men's hearts. Maybe that's what you're going for here. Either way, if it's the latter, that's easier to justify with this kind of abstract description. If it's the former, and this scene is and the cellar is a place where rowdiness happens, it needs to be demonstrated with like bar stools and puddles on the floor of sherry and that sort of thing. Yeah. Oh, you're off. Thank you for your presence, Sayaka. Always a pleasure. We'll catch you next stream. Have a good week. Good suggestion, Outrider SG, yeah. Personalizing this kind of description as well would be really nice. And for me to go. Oh, yeah. Another 14 minutes. Damn. Yeah. Oh, well. Like grapes themselves, barrels are stacked upon barrels. I know what you're going for here. Like the grapes themselves, these barrels. Ah, this is tricky. I know what you're going for. As a reader, my initial reaction to this sentence is, grapes don't do that. Grapes are like non-tessellating objects. But what do you guys think about this? I don't know how to edit it. Because the literal me is like, no, grapes don't tessellate vertically. But do you think it's okay to write a comparative description like this? Okay, cool. Yep. Good, good. Definitely keep this one. Probably cut the sunlight, or unless you wanted to incorporate the sunlight here. Yeah, I think that would make it a bit stronger. Barrels are stacked upon barrels. For me, a six-story mountain. New straight top, older the bottom each barrel, distant, empty, into the slower, older neighbor, like churchyard rumors. Each pass twists and tints its contents. Each pass twists and I'm gonna put the contents. Tints the contents. Tints the content. Reads a bit more fluidly than tints its content. Tints its content until it reaches the Solera. It also gets rid of the its repetition, where it is drawn and sent out to the world by this uni's fancy boots. is no peaceful recess. This could be really, really strong. Just got to reconfigure some of the individual sentences too. I think we've discussed that enough. I host myself on top of the sword tablets to the nearest barrel, because we know where it is now. Raising a cloud of dust as I reach the top. I'll have to remember to clear my dress before father gets home. Yep, I have time. Below me, a critter scutters about. I'd like to know what this critter is. Mm, the animal world is huge. How do I write that without sounding passive aggressive? Um, tell us, tell us what critter it is. Um, yeah. Otherwise, it's I don't think you get an advantage from being opaque about it. Unless she doesn't know what it is, in which case you want to describe it even more opaquely, like a shadow scuttles about, but I don't see what it is. That kind of thing. I straddle and lay across the barrel like a lazy cat. One of these is probably good. I lay across the barrel like a lazy cat and think of how I could hide within one and be shipped away. Shipped away to America or London, Africa, where Aliso cannot find me. Of course, Marie would have to come too. Two barrels. We go to Germany. This is good. No, I think this is really nice. The only thing I'd suggest is that maybe this is being repeated too early. I pray for such a fate. What if we got rid of that I? Because we've had it here in the space of what is effectively one and a half pages worth of writing. We've had I 3 times. I think the less we see it, better in some sense. But I'll let you be the judge of that. Hmm. I think if it's important, Outrider SG, yeah. Um, you can go 2 ways. If it's important later on, maybe hide it in a bit of mystery. Otherwise, just say it's a rat. I close my eyes and let my players seep into the darkness. I think that needs a full stop. I think this is fine. I don't want to touch this too much. With my fingernail, I scratch shapes into the dust. Here we go. I tried to chart a map of the world from memory. How long has it been since everybody left? I can't see the sun, but it couldn't have been too long ago. Papa found I wasn't in bed, and even worse, touching his barrels. He would make me scrub the church floors. What would... So, here we have another I, which probably needs to be italics. Um, so in which case, definitely delete that. Definitely delete that one. What would a best Marisol think? Guilt flushes through my chest. I promised I would pray with her today. With her eyes clouded, cannot read from the Bible, yet she can recite close to perfect, even knowing when to turn the pages. Isabel, before books, it was every Christian's job to keep scripture within her soul. Now we have forgotten the art of remembering. Can I see this quote, Mark? Now we have forgotten the art of remembering. One day we might forget the art of writing too. Then we may lose God. That is why He granted us a memory. I remember, as you should too, so that we may never forget. I best Marisol would know what to say about Alicio. She would see it is not God's will, how Alicio is a worm, how Father is mistaken. Papa couldn't defy Marisol's word. The church would gossip. Emilio Arras Romero has disgraced himself. How long has it been since everybody left? What makes her think this? Have a little sentence before it. Something interstellar. Or if you don't want to use seller, that's fine. We need a little sentence like this to then justify what this thought is. Except it's here. It couldn't have been too long ago. That's just getting rid of that. This may read like my own personal preference, and maybe it is. However, in this case, I think you should justify the thought before it comes. You could even do this after in reverse, but we need a stronger justification. I don't think this is justification enough. I can't see the sun. Um, can be a little stronger. Mm. 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 Wait a second. I thought you'd gone, real Sayaka. Um, close to perfection? Yes, that's true. I kind of want to use that in my own writing. Actually, I wish I could. You can have it if you want. I don't mind. Um, yeah, it does, and I like that personification. Maybe that's why I put it in. Super useful thing as well. Personifying time or personification itself is a super useful thing. Um, don't use it too much, but yeah, jobs well. It's really nice. The gust of wind rattles the door. Anything else in this? No, I think that's all fine. The gust of wind rattles the door, and for a moment, I think Father has returned. I tap on the bell along with my heartbeat as it slows back down. Somewhere below is Sherry, even older than the abyss. From what Father's father filled his first barrel. Sorry, from when Father's father filled his first barrel. How old would the abyss have been then? Oops. What am I doing? Tomb. I don't know what I was doing there, sorry. Um, Occasionally a silver strand of hair would fall out from beneath her coif. Her sight had long faded, leaving stone-like pearls within her eyes. With the younger boys, she is most famous for the precision by which her cane can find the shins of troublemakers. Once she gave Pablo a welt larger than his hand. Let me stop there. Who are we talking about? A gust of wind rattles the door, and for a moment, I think Father has returned. I tap on the barrel along with my heartbeat as it slows back down. Somewhere below is Sherry, even older than the abyss. And then we have this description of the abyss. Here, we're missing as it slows back down. Between these sentences, we are missing something. Does I know this may sound that may sound like a silly point, but I think I'll make this point now. Um, there's a difference between subtlety and omission. Sometimes you can imply details, which I think is what Herringbone was going for here. Somewhere below is Sherry even older than the abyss. Is I think an indication that the abyss has walked in instead of father. However, even even when I get that implication, as a reader, I feel like I had to fill that in not because you planted the idea in my head, but rather that you omitted it and that I had to fill in your gap, which makes me feel not like I'm part of a story, but like I'm writing over your story. The difference between omission and implication is often quite subtle, and in this case, it falls too much on the side of omission. The implication of that, the implication of not using an implication, um, is that your reader doesn't like it. At least I don't like it. I feel as though it can be stronger just by hinting it. I tap the barrel along with my heartbeat as it slows back down. No, it's not father. Um, No, it isn't father, but someone else entirely. Full stop. Somewhere below is Sherry even older than the abyss. The woman who blah 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 blah. So one of the other reasons why I think it trips over itself a little bit is because this sentence here makes me not think of the abyss, but makes me think of the Sherry again, the way it's structured. Um, have a think about what you'd like to do here, but my suggestion is to introduce a sentence here um, that tells you outright or implies that it's the abyss that's walked in, or that it's not father. That might be a more softer way to do it. It's not father like she was expecting. And the reader goes, well, who is it? And then they read this sentence and they figure out that it's the abyss. But right now it's talking too much about Sherry. Hmm. Oh, nobody has walked in. Oh, damn. Oh, goodness. Oh well, ignore what I said. But the point still stands about if you were trying to implicate someone walking in without explicitly saying it, you can fall into the trap of having it omitted. Tapping the barrel along with my heartbeat in time with my heartbeat is what I go instead of rhythm. In time with my heartbeat as it slows back down. I need to leave. It's 10:30. Um, I can't wait to do more of this on the next stream. It's beautiful. It's really it's plush. It's well written. The, the plot is so neatly woven in with the narrative elements. Yeah, I can't wait to see where we go with this. I think um, this is one of the most well written stories I've seen on this stream. Just give me a second, okay? Yeah, so high praise, well done. It's lovely. And I can't wait to see more of it. Yeah, or Door to the Riven would also be really good. No, no, not at all, Herringbone. Thank you for sharing this story with us. It's a real pleasure to edit through, and I hope you guys are enjoying it just as much as me. It's kisses like an Italian. It's the Italia Italian chef hand kiss motion. I think that's what we call it. The mwah. So good. No worries. Yeah. No, I'm glad you're finding it useful too. Will do. I'll make sure to tell my off-screen overlord. Alrighty, let's continue this edit on Thursday evening, my time. Thank you for joining me today. Really sorry we had to cut it short. I can't wait to do more. Really looking forward to it. We'll catch you then.